TLDR, my BF has lied about almost his whole relationship with me as well as to me about his ex. We are no pregnant, and he blames me for his family not talking to him. I, F28, have been with my boyfriend, M27, for nearly 2 years. We are expecting a baby February 2025. We had started out great. At least I thought so. Had a lot in common, and I had never vibed with someone so well. For context, he has a previous relationship where they had a daughter now too. The mother, however, is not involved with the daughter, and his parents have her. They have their certain days they see daughter. I didn't find out until April of this year that he had been talking to the mother in more than a friendly way. I had never pushed the issue of her since they have a kid. I did find it strange the amounts of time she would call him, being that she has no custody of the kid and that wasn't what they were speaking about. Anytime he was supposed to go to his parents to see his daughter, his ex would call right beforehand. One day I finally asked, "Why does she call you before you go over there every time?" He replied he didn't know as he declined it. He would always decline it in front of me, then call her back in his truck on the way over. I'll admit I snooped because my gut told me there was something more, this time since I had kept him from leaving right as she called, because I was asking about it. She texted too. I asked to see it. She had said she needed help with something being put up, smiley face. Again context, she had a boyfriend at this time who was on the same work schedule as her, so readily available. Again, I want to preface that if this was something to do with his daughter it wouldn't have been an issue, but she does not have their daughter at all. I asked him how often has he been going over there and told him if he'd rather reconcile with her then please do so, and that I was going to leave. There's a lot of backstory as to this being my breaking point. He told me no, he would block her. Immediately after going no contact with her, she breaks up with her boyfriend and tries everything from going to his work to telling his parents. The parents thing is also important. Now context for why this was it for me. His parents had been constantly bad-mouthing me and have never met me. They didn't like me from the beginning because they wanted him to get back with his ex. She had been cheating on him for over 4 years. Moved in with new boyfriend while they were still together. He didn't want to be with her. I don't know what to believe now. They were mad that I was with him and didn't want me around their house. Said that I wasn't allowed to be near his daughter as they had a rule about SOs being there. Okay, whatever, fine, I get it. The mom has a different boyfriend every 2 weeks, no one wants a child to see that. However, this has become how I'm awful and I'm not making the effort to get to know them. So I have resigned to mostly staying out of that. Come to find out he had been mostly hanging out with ex, taking her places, telling her how if things were different he would be with her, that if it wasn't for me they'd be together. After their daughter's last birthday party, somehow his swim trunks ended up in her stuff. So yes, after I found out he was going to her house and not to see his daughter, I drew the line and created a boundary. After confronting him about what had been going on, I also found out that any gifts I had gotten her, they were ridiculously expensive, but I wanted him to be able to give her something as he wasn't working and his parents would ream into him all the time, were labeled as if they were from his ex and him. I found out they were sitting in the hot tub together at the birthday. The debacle of trunks being in her stuff is still somehow because his parents must have thrown them in there. There has been a lot, but these are the main things that have bothered me. It got to the point I was like, listen, either go deal with that and let me go, or stop with all the games because I refuse to take part. Needless to say, there's a lot of trust issues now. His parents don't alleviate that. Now he was severely abused by them, like childhood trauma. Watching your parents hold guns to each other's heads talking about how they're going to make each other famous kind of fucked up. However, I wouldn't allow people who have a relationship like that dictate mine. That was another boundary I drew. I told him I was sick of his parents pushing for him to be with his ex, and saying how awful I am without knowing me. He had been saying the only reason he does the things with his ex is because his parents told him to. They were telling everyone in his family that I was psychotic because his ex told them I had him block her. They told the entire family I wouldn't come around and get to know them. Again, I'm not allowed to. They even explicitly said that OP is not to be around our house ever. They said that I don't help him make sure to get things for his daughter. Again, anything he has bought for her, I picked and paid for, many more things of this nature. So I was sick of it. I told him either go back to living with them or stop all of this stuff, because I am not willing to be in a relationship where I'm talked badly about and pushed aside and hidden. He hardly would tell anyone we were in a relationship at all, while I am actively making efforts. Fast forward, lots of trying to build trust later. I'm pregnant, yay. I was excited initially, not to mention we didn't find out till I was already in my 2nd trimester. All tests were negative, but ultrasound wasn't. However, Any happiness I could feel has been drained and I don't know what to do. I am so sad. He's denied and hidden our son. I wasn't even allowed to go to some stores because I might be seen. One of his mom's co-workers was at Walmart, and I was holding my tummy and he asked me why TF I was doing that and told me to stop. I had been rubbing my belly the whole time as it's a lot heavier and harder to walk. I apologized and stayed quiet the rest of the trip, trying to walk as not pregnant looking as possible. He tells everyone he works with, none know anyone he knows in town as they work all over the state. How excited he is we're having a baby, how much he loves me and can't wait to have our son, but doesn't say any of that to me. I explained how these things make me feel like he doesn't want this and to let me please know. He says he does. So obviously, we've been keeping the pregnancy hidden so his parents don't find out. I warned him they eventually would, and guess what they did? They asked him, and he lied after they knew. He came back from this last visit to his daughter and I asked if he talked with them about it, and he said no. He told them I started new meds, that's why I looked like that. His brother had made an excuse to stop by after they went to the store and came inside and saw me. I said I was disappointed and asked why he was still lying. He said they would be abusive and he didn't want to deal with it. At first I was like okay, but as time went on I was like there will be a physical baby. This will hurt our son more than it hurts me. He's going to keep this baby hidden, and I don't want to raise my child that way. It would cause him mental trauma and I can't do that. I explained these worries to him. He said I didn't care about his relationship with his daughter. I told him this has nothing to do with that and I do care, but this will also be our baby's sister. They should know. This became a big thing. I told him I was just trying to let him know it hurt my feelings and he shouldn't let the fear of his parents rule over this. He ended up telling me I wasn't abused enough. He knows I've been in several abusive relationships that have almost resulted in my death on 5 different occasions, so I hung up and turned off my phone. I stopped answering his calls and went shopping with my mom. When I turned my phone back on, he had told his parents. I tried to be there for him, as yes, the following things his parents said were cruel and uncalled for. Telling him he's an awful dad, that he's abandoning his daughter for anything with a vagina, saying I was some crazy bitch he stuck his dick in. There was a lot of awful things. He said he was afraid they wouldn't let him see his daughter. I told him that he could and that they can't take his parental rights away without going to court. That he should go see her and take her to jump craze or the park or ice cream, and he can bring her back to his parents. This only upsets him more. Since this happened about a week ago, he has told me everything is my fault. That I ruined his life and his relationship with his parents and the rest of his family. That he won't be able to see his kid because they won't let him. I've tried being helpful and giving logical answers, especially when considering his daughter. I've also told him that even if this were 3 years down the line, his parents would have reacted the same, as they've made it clear they hate that we are in a relationship and they hate me, that they just want him to get back with his ex. There is nothing we could have done differently on that end. But he calls me stupid and tells me I don't care. I told him it's not right for him to hide a kid, that it would have caused problems either way, because they would have found out when we had a physical baby. This morning, we had fought again and I told him fine, if he had wanted I could have told the baby how he has to be hidden and his dad didn't want anyone to know he existed. It was mostly to get him to think about how this affected more than him. Well, his response was, well, now we can tell him how everybody in my family hates him because dad decided to accept you and tell them. I told him he's extremely fucked up, that if he ever decided to tell my son he was hated, I'd let him know the people who hated him abused their kids, stuck their fingers into their self-harm wounds, and held guns to each other's heads, and he shouldn't care if they liked him or not. I told him the only person who doesn't care about what is happening with his daughter is him, because he allows her to be in a household who does those things and knows his ex runs around with their kid on her days and gets high. After this, he has told me I caused him to not have a family and to be alone, and that I don't care about anything that happened. Am I being a selfish asshole?